Excalibur right now in Warframe is kind of crazy. In fact, the majority of Exalted weapons have seen quality of life changes that have us all scrambling to see which ones we enjoy the most. And I'm curious which ones you're feckin' enjoying the most right now. The Techrot Encore update has so much for us to look at between weapons, frame, the Exalted rework, augments, mods. For me, however, Excalibur was one of my first ever Warframes when I entered the open beta, or the closed beta, sorry, back in 2013, but I will admit that he has never been one of my favourite. I enjoy tanky Warframes, which I don't think he is, but I guess you don't need to be tanky if everything is dead, which is happening right now. So the changes to old Keyface here is Excalibur's Exalted Blade can now gain melee combo counter, and it can also trigger the new Tennokai mods from their Exalted Blade's energy waves. Instead of previously, you could only build combo counter from direct hits. So now you can build combo and you can use the Tennokai mods. Tennokai will only, however, count one hit per wave, regardless of how many different enemies get hit by that wave. So they've increased the projectile speed of Excalibur's Exalted Blade's energy waves. His slash dash now scales with the mods equipped on your Exalted Blade instead of mods that would have been equipped on your regular melee weapon. Excalibur's heavy attacks from Exalted Blade now release a cross-shaped projectile, dealing heavy attack damage, but it also now lifts enemies as well. Now, on top of this, they've also allowed the addition of Acolyte mods, Amalgam mods, and melee combo counter mods for all Exalted weapons. So that means that with Excalibur, you can now equip Blood Rush, Weeping Wounds, Gladiator mods, and so on Exalted melee weapons. And because his energy wave now scales combo, it is a solid choice to use some of those if you want to. So you could build for full crit with Blood Rush, Organ Shatter, Gladiator Might. You could have Tenacious Bond on your companion to give you more crit damage. You could subsume Wrathful Advance onto your Excalibur to put you into that red crit territory, along with melee influence, and just sit back and watch all of the pretty red numbers as bits of enemies fly or dissolve past you. Because on top of this, they've also allowed the addition of arcane slots for your Exalted weapons, ranged and melee alike. So melee Exalted weapons like Exalted Blade, that means they can now run melee influence, melee duplicate, and other arcanes, but most of you are going to be running influence, right? Because of how effective it is, you'd be kind of crazy not to, especially since Excalibur's Chromatic Blade augment is designed to spread elements, which works in combination with condition overload and have elements spread to huge groups of enemies with that melee influence as well. So you're going to bounce off one another. I don't know why I said that, no one's bouncing anywhere. So Chromatic Blade changes Excalibur's Exalted Blade's damage type based on the emissive colour that your Excalibur has. So blue for electric, red for heat, and so on. And for the purpose of melee influence, you're going to want to trigger this, or I guess colour this blue, because electric procs will trigger melee influence. Now, Chromatic Blade will scale with your ability strength. More strength means a higher status chance for you to proc more than one status per energy wave. I think my current build has over 900% status chance on his Exalted Blade. So with the changes to Exalted weapons, Warframes now like Korra, like Gara, like Atlas, and others are much more powerful. But melee influence, I would assume, is carrying a lot of that load. Excalibur still, in my opinion, has survival issues, but you can negate that with helmet abilities like Pillage or Omamori, or any other one that you wanted to, even Gloom to slow other enemies down. Or you could put a build something like this, which is designed around shield gating, while also using a Sentinel to maybe boost your shields with a mod like Guardian as well. So you could mod for Brief Respite, Adaptation, Rolling Guard, Deflection, Arcane Aegis. They'll all bounce off one another to help keep you alive. For Archon Shards, I would say to make sure to use shards to fit your build, but also to fit your playstyle. For me, I have 3 red Archon Shards for power strength, 1 yellow for energy orb effectiveness, and I have 1 purple for a mini equilibrium effect. But you could also use a cast speed 1 or 2 purple for equilibrium, entirely up to you. The purple Archon Shard I will probably get rid of and put on another power strength one. Now, if you decide to helmet on other abilities, because you don't really need to do it with Excalibur, but if you do decide to do it, these are the setups that I've been using for Nourish and Wrathful Advance. I also have a Pillage setup, which I need to tweak a bit more now to add a bit more range. So this is pretty much the universal setup that I've got on my Excalibur across pretty much all of my builds since the update dropped. You could drop out Steel Charge for Brief Respite if you wanted to bounce off Arcane Aegis. I have got Umbral Vitality, however, the only reason that's there is I have an Umbral Forma on it, and I'd rather not Polarity over that to use something else, but feel free to do what you want. Precision Intensify, of course, is going to amplify my Exalted Blade, and my Chromatic Blade now has 957%. Adaptation to give me resistance to certain damage types. Equilibrium to give me health when I pick up energy, or energy when I pick up health. Arcane Strike is going to give me attack speed. For ages, you could switch in Fury here if you wanted to instead, if you're okay with your survivability. Blind Rage for more ability strength. Continuity for more duration. Rolling Guard just to give me that little bit of 3 seconds of invulnerability whenever my shield does break. Now, for the Exalted Blade itself, I have got a status build, which is gas and electric. Electric, of course, is going to trigger melee influence, and then gas is going to double dip with the smite mod. However, you don't have to use smite mods. They're kind of a flex item or a flex mod. You could use pressure point here if you wanted to. Carnus Mandible is going to give me bonus status chance, but it's also going to reduce enemy accuracy by 10%, and it's going to grant me a status immunity for 2 seconds. So that's why I'm using that. Condition Overload, of course, because I'm going to be putting multiple elements on enemies. Magnetic Rush is going to give me bonus attack speed, but the magnetic is also going to help me strip Overguard on Eximus units and kill them much quicker as well. So that's the build that I'm using. Disciples Merit, you could use whichever Tennokai mod you want to here, but this is going to allow it to trigger every 4 times. Now, if you wanted to mod for a crit-based setup based around Blood Rush, then you could go something like this, where Blood Rush to bring you back up into orange or red crits, depending on what, I guess, subsume you've got on your Excalibur. Organ Shatter is going to increase the crit damage you do. Galvanized Steel is also going to increase the crit damage you do. Then, on top of that, you could have Tenacious Bond on your Sentinel, which will also increase the crit damage that you throw out. So this is really useful if you want to use a build, say, with something like Wrathful Advance, which is going to put you into red crit territory, and then you're going to do a lot more crit damage because of the setup that you have. Of course, you could also use Gladiator Might if you wanted to, and you could get rid of Carnus Mandible so that you have a much higher crit multiplier, because you're going to be in red crit territory with something like Wrathful Advance anyway. Remember to go ahead and mod to fit your own playstyle. This is perfect for me, but it might not be for you. So make sure and just take influence from this and change whatever the hell you want to. Your game, your Warframe, go nuts. Once you're having fun, that's literally all that fucking matters. Now, from what I've been told with the Exalted changes, Warframes like Gara, like Atlas, and Baruch are a lot of fun right now. So I'm also going to try those out and see how they are. I believe Ash is broken at the minute and not working as intended. But either way, let me know in the comment section below what you think of Exalted Blade now that you can put melee influence on it, or melee duplicate, and what way you've been running your Excalibur since these changes went live. Either way, have a great day, have a great weekend, and as always, thanks for watching.
But you don't care. Oh my God.